Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
So thank you everyone for taking time to join us in today's webinar. And maybe I can just give a brief introduction about VISCA and then
Tumoja basi apeleke chap.
Mute.
Can you hear me? Good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. I would request you to kindly mute your microphone so that we don't have a lot of distractions during the training. So my name is Monica Wairimo. I'm the brand and marketing executive here at VISCA. And before we begin, I'll just quickly introduce VISCA and then I'll hand it over to Richard to introduce the panelists and take it over. So VISCA is a knowledge-based firm that specializes in offering training, resourcing, and consulting services to ICT sector and engineering-based firms and people. So over time, we have specialized in providing services such as training and consultancy in areas such as safety, where we partnered with Group 584 to provide IWH certified courses. We also have manufacturing and energy, ICT, EBK approved courses, and NCA approved courses. So for this, the webinar will be 1.5 hours. Kindly ensure your microphones are on mute so that we don't have a lot of distractions. If you have a question, you can always use the chat button or raise your hand. I'll be moderating the training and be able to take them as they go. If there are questions that can be addressed at the end of the webinar, that will still be okay. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of it. So thank you and welcome, Mr. Richard. You can take over.
Thank you so much, Monica, for the brief and good introduction about VISCA. And without going into much details, I would want us straight to delve into today's topic. And in commemoration of the World Safety Week, VISCA being a training firm, we thought it was wise to come up with this particular webinar so that we can also share with all the companies we've been able to partner with while looking into matters that affect them. And so we are looking at fundamentals that affect contractors while delivering their work. And some of the 3 areas that we identified and felt would be good to share with you in this particular webinar, so that as we all move forward in the execution of our work, then we are able to deliver quality work. And so my name is Richard Odori. I'm the Client Solution Executive person at VISCA Industrial Capacity Limited, and I'm also a facilitator and a trainer for Work at Height. And so karibuni sana as we move forward. I'm introducing the panelists who shall be speaking on 3 main areas. The first one will be Rian van Staden. He's speaking all the way from South Africa. Rian van Staden is the CEO of Group 583, and at the same time, he's a moderator and a member of Institute for Work at Height, that is IWH, that accredits most of the persons who are working at height. And I want to believe that even the majority of those ones today participating in this particular webinar are having IWH certificates. And so Rian is speaking from a point of knowledge and even an insider from IWH. Then the second speaker, Rian, will be taking us for at least 25 to 30 minutes on equipments. And then at the same time, he shall be talking about fall arrest equipments. He shall be talking about the selection, the use, the maintenance, and even the storage. But then at the same time, he shall also be talking about IWH, and he will also bring in more information that you need to know while working at height. Then the second speaker will be Winston Audi. Winston Audi is an occupational health and safety advisor, very rich, knowledgeable. He's going to talk about non-conformities and penalties that come as a result of that. And then finally, we shall be having a third speaker who shall also take us from 10 to 10:30, and this will be a manager from the Safety and Wellness Department of Safaricom PLC. And so on this note, I want to believe that all of us are going to gain and benefit quickly. And without going into much, let me bring on board Rian van Staden, all the way from South Africa, so that he's able to take us through what you need to know about fall arrest equipments, selection, use, maintenance, and storage, and about IWH. Rian?
Good morning, Richard, and good morning, team.
Unmute your video.
I can't unmute the video. For some reason, it doesn't want to unmute. Let me just quickly see. Okay, no, it doesn't want to unmute the video, Richard. So I'm not sure what's happening here.
I can see you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fabulous. Thank you very much. Okay. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for this opportunity. I do appreciate the fact that I was invited to take part in this webinar. Just a short introduction from my side. My name is Rian van Staden. I am the CEO of a company called Group 583, currently operating in our head office in South Africa, but we've got branches with agreements with people right over Africa. So we operate in Kenya, we operate in Mozambique, and as well as in Nigeria. So from my side, I am a facilitator, I am an assessor, and I am a moderator for Working at Height, and I specialize in working at height related training. I am a rope access level 3 supervisor. I am a aluminium instructor, aluminium tower instructor. I am also a scaffolding steel erector, supervisor and inspector. I am a senior rescue technician. And then apart from that, I also sit on the board of the IWH, which is the Institute for Working at Height. And I am the vice chairman of the Institute for Working at Height. So thank you very much once again. And let's just quickly go over to the presentation. I just want to share my screen quickly with you guys. So if you give me a second so that I can just choose the screen. So I'll run my slideshow. Sorry, I just struggled to get to the bar. Okay, but apart from that, let me just see if I can move this taskbar. Okay, there, I can move it. Okay, fantastic. What I want to talk about this morning is the selection and inspections, and then basically the storage of these equipment. Can I just get somebody, Richard, can you just tell me, is my screen available? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's continue. Okay, so within the fall risk environment, we've got various pieces of equipment that we can use to operate and to work safely. Now, within the environment, we've got two basic routes that we can follow. We can follow the rope access route, or we can follow the fall arrest route. Now, the basic fundamental difference between those two routes is in what they say. Fall arrest means that you are working on a structure where your feet are grounded to the structure. So that means that you can be working on a platform, you can be working on a ladder, you can be working on a MEUP, you can be working on a tower, you can be working on scaffolding, but your feet are grounded to the structure. Rope access means that you are suspended from a rope and you are accessing your work site while you are suspended on this rope. Excuse me. So in that lies two different types of equipment. Okay, so I'm not going to worry this morning about rope access because it doesn't fit the profile of what we want to discuss. What we want to discuss is we want to discuss the fall arrest equipment. One of the major fundamental fall arrest harness was not designed to be suspended in. The harness is basically there to stop you from hitting the ground. So it is a piece of equipment that you put onto your body, and it will basically suspend your fall. Okay, Simon, can you just maybe just take off your video, please? I see that you've got a video on. Okay. Okay, Simon, can you just put off your video? Okay, gents, let's carry on. Let's start with the helmet. Okay, so the basic helmet that we need, it needs to conform to a standard of EN 397. Now, EN, as you all might know, stands for European norm. In South Africa, we use the SANS code, which is South African National Standards, but EN is mostly the one that you will find in international standards. The most important thing is that this helmet must have a chin strap. Some have a three-point adjustable chin strap, and some helmets only have a double point chin strap. The most important thing is that it must have a chin strap. The reason for that is that should you fall, that the helmet stays on your head, or if you are working at height and you are looking up and down so that the helmet cannot loosely just fall off your head. Then it needs to sit comfortable and correctly. So most of them have got adjustable knobs, and it must have a short peak or a long peak that you can use. The reason for the peak mostly is to stop falling objects or falling directly into your face. Then the other thing that is nice, it needs to be of lightweight. Also, very importantly about the helmet is that if we go back to the chin strap, I asked a lot of guys and a lot of people that I train, the chin strap, in your opinion, must it be very strong or must it be available or able to break? And the answer for this is it must be able to break. Your chin strap has got a buckle, and that buckle should basically break or open if you apply a weight of about 25 kilograms to it. And the reason for that is if you, in the event of a possible fall, that if the helmet gets stuck and you are now hanging on this helmet and you are basically, you have this chin strap suffocating you around your neck, that it must break at a breaking point of about 25 kilograms so that you don't strangle yourself and you possibly could suffocate and die. Why is this important? This is very important because a lot of guys get to site and they don't have a chin strap. Now they start and they make a quick plan on site. So they take a shoelace or they take a piece of string and now they put it onto their helmet. And they think that now this will suffice as a chin strap. Now, ladies and gents, if that chin strap cannot break, you can just imagine what the consequences could be if you take a fall. So use the right equipment and don't try and alter it just by trying to stay out of trouble. So please make sure that you've got the correct chin strap. Okay. What we need to do is we need to make sure that the chin strap can securely fasten so it can open and close. We must inspect the webbing for any cuts, abrasions, frays, chemical spills, okay? The outer shell, if we look at the outer shell, make sure that there is no cracks, no burns, no deformation, it's not out of shape. And then very importantly as well, look at the age of your helmet and make sure that it is still in line with the manufacturer's recommendation. Now, this importantly, I get asked a lot of times, how long does a helmet last? And that is, has got his own specifications. So if you have got any doubts on a helmet, please make sure when you purchase the helmet or when you take it out of the store that you go and read the certification with it and that it falls in date with the helmet. There is an incorrect way to basically wear your helmet, okay, because there's no protection there at the end of the day. Right, within fall arrest equipment, you've got inspection tags. All fall arrest equipment that you draw out of a store or which you purchase must have an inspection tag and a certificate. So the certificate gets placed into your safety file, and then your inspection tag is what is basically stitched onto your piece of equipment. Okay, there needs to be a minimum of 4 indicators on this piece of equipment. The first one is you must have a name of a manufacturer. The second one, you must have a date of manufacture. The third one is there must be a standard on there. And the fourth one is there must be a serial number available on that. Okay, then let's get to the full body harness. We spoke about the full body harness a little bit earlier. Now the full body harness has got 2 standards that it's manufactured against. It's got a fall arrest standard and it's got a work position standard. So the fall arrest standard is EN 361 and the work positioning standard is EN 358 and 813. Now, a lot of harnesses in the industry don't have the 358 and the 813 SANs on work positioning on it. I find that quite disturbing and I find that quite reckless to work with a harness that does not have work positioning on there. Because the reason why we need work positioning is that when we climb up and down, or we are working on a structure and we need both hands to work with, we need some way to connect ourselves to this structure. And the only reason we can do that is by using a work positioning lanyard and then connecting it to 2 side D-rings that is on your harness. And these 2 side D-rings is the work positioning that conforms to EN 358. Okay, so let's go quickly on the harness. Okay, it must be a full body harness. Very importantly, you cannot use a sit harness like these commercial harnesses that people use to do rock climbing and abseiling. You cannot use a sit harness for industrial work. So you must have straps that go over your shoulders and strap that goes across your chest. And obviously your leg straps that are going around your legs. The reason for that is that in the event of a fall, that you do not topple over and possibly fall out of your harness. So the harness is manufactured to keep the whole body intact. Should there be a fall or should there be a problem? Okay, then you get back-mounted D-rings, that is between the shoulders, or some harnesses have got front-mounted D-rings. The safe working load, in general retrospect, for harnesses are about 150 kilograms. Okay, this is the harness position in a possible fall. So you can see it spreads the load across the belt of the straps on the harness. Okay, and it makes sure that it is the most comfortable, uncomfortable position that you will be suspended in. Okay, harness inspection. Okay, obviously we've got different pieces of equipment on the harness. We must check the webbing for any cuts, burns, abrasions, chemical spills. We must make sure that all the stitching are intact. It's got the hardware, which are the buckles. So make sure that your buckles are loaded correctly and your webbing doesn't slip through the buckle. If you've got metal parts on your harness, make sure that there's no rust, cracks, deformation, or sharp edges. And then once again, confirm the age in relations with the manufacturer's recommendation. Then we get lanyards. Okay, lanyards have got a standard of EN 355. And the main purpose of a lanyard is to connect yourself to the structure. Okay, you get two types of lanyards. We get shock absorbing lanyards and non-shock absorbing lanyards. Okay, a shock absorbing lanyard is basically a lanyard that has got a shock absorber in there, and it's got webbing that has been stitched in a folded manner, and that webbing tears when you are falling. So in event of a fall, that this webbing will then basically start to fray loose, and it will minimize the momentum and the speed of your fall. It's not going to stop you from falling. It will basically stop a shock load on your body. Okay, right. The deployment length of this lanyard is usually between 1.5 and 1.75, and the safe working load as well for a lanyard is about 150 kilograms. It is also very important to remember and to take note that when you are hooking up or when you are working, that you cannot use non-shock absorbing lanyards for a fall arrest system, because you must have a shock absorbing element within your fall arrest system. Okay. If we look at the criteria for lanyards and inspection of lanyards, once again, we've got webbing. The same type of inspection counts for that. Cuts, burns, abrasions, chemical spill. Stitching, make always sure your stitching is intact. Check your hardware, check your metal parts, check your age in relation with the manufacturer's recommendation. And then very importantly as well is check for signs of deployment. If you notice that that shock absorber has even slightly deployed, you cannot use it, because then that piece of equipment becomes null and void, and you must isolate it, remove it, and then destroy it. Right, work positioning lanyard is EN 358 as well. And as I said in the previous slide, please remember that this does not form part of your fall arrest system. It is only there so that you can work with two hands freely. Okay, it is non-shock absorbing. It comes in variable lengths and even adjustable lengths. And the safe working load for that is also about 150 kilograms. Non-shock absorbing lanyard, please remember that there's immediate force of load can be much higher on the lanyard. The user experiences extreme shock and can immediately go into users. Okay, inspections of the lanyards, once again, it is typically the same. Webbing, stitching, hardware, metal parts, and confirm the age. Slings, very important piece of equipment that we use. Okay, we can use slings, and it is a EN 566. It usually wraps around a self-identified anchor. So in the event that you cannot hook your scaffolding hook around a certain anchor due to the thickness of this anchor, you can use a sling in that place. Okay. Can everybody just mute their microphones, please? Okay, it's got a safe working load of 220 kilograms. It is non-shock absorbing. It also comes in variable lengths, and it cannot be used as a work positioning lanyard. Once again, what do we inspect? We inspect the webbing. We inspect the stitching. If you've got metal parts, because the various array of work positioning lanyards that we get, they might have metal parts, so inspect your metal parts, and then also confirm your age. Self-retractable lifelines, there's not a lot of people that use it, but it's a very, very useful tool. Okay, and it's got the same safety mechanism in as a safety belt, and it requires a standard stopping distance of less than 2 meters, the most of the lanyards that I've worked with stops you in about 12 centimeters. Okay. Ideally, you don't want it to work in a length of 2 meters. Okay. Please know that you got two types. You get horizontal and you get vertical lifelines, so self-retractable lifelines. If you have a horizontal lifeline, okay, it can be used in a vertical application. But if you've got a vertical lifeline, sometimes it does not work, vice versa. So when you are connecting or you're using a lanyard, please ensure that it is the correct self-absorbing lanyard for the conditions that you want to use it in. It's got two connecting ends. The one end obviously connects to the structure and the other end connects to the operator or the technician. It's got an automatic retraction, okay, and it's got a basic safe working load of about 100 kilograms. Very importantly, you inspect it once again, the webbing. If it's got webbing for cuts, abrasions, you make sure that the stitching is intact. Confirm the age, the metal parts, and then it must be serviced annually. So annually, you must take that retractable lifeline, and you need to make sure that it is inspected and then serviced and rated and then delivered back to you. Other important fact, the component that we use are connectors. It's EM362, and it is basically, we call it our carabiners, okay? So our carabiners, it connects equipment with each other. You get various types of carabiners. You get them in either steel or you get them in aluminium. Then you get various locking mechanism. You get a twist lock, which is got to get the gate that closes itself and it locks itself. You get a screw gate and you also get a clip gate. The screw gate is where you need to tighten the screw by yourself. Very important. You only need to tighten it finger tight and not like tight with a spanner. It must only be finger tight, because once you put pressure on your carabiner, it will have a result that you will not be able to open it. Okay. Very important thing about the carabiners is that you must load it on the back of the spine and not cross load it. Okay. I just want to see if I've got a picture of a cross load. No, I don't have. Okay, a crossload means basically that you will be loading the carabiner from the gate to the spine. Okay, so and that is wrong, because you drastically reduce the safe working load of the carabiner. Okay, your pylon hooks as well. We call it pylon hooks or scaffolding hooks. We use them as well. Inspect for rust, deformation, sharp edges, corrosion. Make sure that you've got a twist lock, that it's got the sleeve in a good position, and if you've got a screw gate, that the screw gate can actually close onto the top, and also ensure that the gate is spring loaded and it still can close automatically. Okay. Descending devices, I actually don't want to go into descending devices now, because we only use it in the little bit more advanced system. Ropes, okay, let's not do that. We can stop the slideshow basically. I just want to stop the screen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is the most important equipment that we've got in terms of fall arrest. Now, storage of equipment is very, very important. It's important to have a storeroom that's dedicated for this equipment. Do not place your equipment on the floor. The main reasons for that: we've got rodents, rats that get access to storerooms, and they climb into those bags, and they love those harnesses. They love that webbing, and they eat it up. Okay, so that's one of the reasons. The other reason is you might have a chemical store or something next to you. Now something spills into the chemical store and it seeps on the ground underneath, and it goes into your equipment. So try and store your equipment off the ground. It's very important as well to have your storage area that is it must be well ventilated. Okay, because it needs to make sure that if you've got a harness that is wet, because we are working outside, it gets sweaty, it gets wet so that it can dry. Okay. It's important to note that your storage equipment should not be in contact with the elements. So it mustn't be outside in the sun or the rain or the wind or the snow. So it's very important to make sure that your equipment is stored correctly. And it is not stored with other pieces of equipment like chemicals. You can't store your equipment in the same room where you've got your diesel tanks. So please make sure that you've got a well identified area for storage. When you transport your equipment, do not put it in the bottom of the pickup truck and then pull all your tools on top of that. Okay, because while you're driving, all those tools will now start hammering onto the equipment. So it is important to really look after your equipment so that in the event that you experience a fall, that your equipment can look after you. That said, talking about equipment is one of the safety aspects that we look at. Obviously, you need to have your equipment and you must make sure that you use them correctly, inspect it correctly and use it correctly. But it all starts with planning. Ladies and gents, if you do not plan your operation, you are failing to plan and you are planning to fail. When we start our work, we must make sure that we've got a fall protection plan. And a fall protection plan is a very, very important piece of document that stipulates the risks that is involved while we are working. It talks to the equipment that we need to use. It talks about the inspection of the equipment. It talks about the rescue procedures, and it talks about the competency of the people using that equipment. That is basically the criteria that falls into the fall protection plan. Now, what makes a person competent? Point number one, to work at height. To work at height, you must undergo training. So we've got the basic training that is presented, which is the unit standard 22998, and that is a course that runs over 1 day. So it is a 1-day course, and we basically teach you the fundamentals of safe working at height. Then we've got the 22995 course, which involves a little bit more. So it involves a basic rescue, it involves safe working at height, it involves a setting up of a temporary horizontal and vertical lifeline, as well as to interpret the fall protection plan. So if somebody gives you a fall protection plan on site, that you can interpret it and that you can then implement it. Okay, so what makes the training that Viscar presents different from other suppliers? Okay, point number one is that all the training that Viscar presents are accredited. So it is NQF, National Qualification Framework training that is presented. It is presented by a qualified facilitator and an assessor. The training gets externally moderated, and then all of that document gets sent to the Institute for Working at Height, and the Institute of Working at Height then verifies all of that training material and the portfolio of evidence that's been handed to them, and they issue the certification. So it's not a local certificate that you will get from Viscar or from Group 583. It is a certificate that is issued by the Institute for Working at Height. So it is a license to operate. So you are then licensed for a period of 3 years to operate with that qualification. That qualification expires every 3 years. And the reason for that is that we need to make sure that you are still working at height. So you come back every 3 years, and we make sure that you are still conforming to all the rules and regulations. If there's been a change in rules and regulations, we can teach you the new rules and regulations. If there's been a change of equipment, we can then teach you all the new equipment or the new methods that is available. So you can do your course, but every 3 years you need to review it or revise it or renew it so that you stay current. Okay. And that is basically the biggest difference between the training that Viscar presents and any other supplier currently that's presenting the training. So it is all IWH recognized training, the Institute for Working Night, and the IWH is the only recognized professional body that is available for us to use. Okay, ladies and gents, that is in a nutshell what I wanted to present. I think Richard would maybe expand on this. What we have done in conjunction with Group 583 and with Viscar, we have made 5 full protection planner courses available at a random draw. Richard and them from their side, they will administer that process. But 5 of you people that's attending the web, can you please just all put your mics on silent? Thank you very much. So everybody that's attending this webinar today can stand a possible chance to win one of those 4 protection planner courses. Okay, so Richard would basically facilitate that process and he would then explain it a little bit more to you. Richard, from my side, that is what I have got to say. If there's anything else, they can direct the questions to you and I will gladly answer them via email. Or if there is any urgent question that's currently arising, I will then be able to look at it. So I am muting my microphone, Richard, and I'm handing over back to you.
Thank you so much, Rian, for well-articulated explanation regarding fall arrest systems and equipments, and also regarding inspection. And for those who have questions, we are taking note of all the questions. Monica, who is moderating, on the other end, she's picking all the questions. I want us to answer all these questions at the end of the session so that we give ample time to all the speakers. And then after this, we take up all the questions and some of them will also be able to respond to them on mail. For those who have registered, I know our limit number was 100 and we've already reached 100. Please ask your colleagues, wherever they are and trying to log in, to get to Visca Facebook. We are streaming live and they'll be able to access the training. But also by the end of the training, we shall be able to share. Just as Rian has explained, please note that 5 people qualified to win a fall protection plan training that is worthy 37,500 per person. So 5 of you at random selection based on a number of criteria, we shall pick 5 people who shall benefit on this virtual training, and they will start immediately from next week once we have done that selection. Without taking much time, allow me to move to the next topic, and this is understanding penalties for non-conformity of occupational health and safety requirements. And this brings Winston Audi, who shall be speaking on this. He is an occupational health and safety advisor. Winston.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard, for the invite. I'm happy to be here today, basically to demonstrate that occupational safety and health is so vital to our lives, and that we need to ensure that in the course of work, our people are safe, having safe systems of work so that we don't fall into the category of those people who get prosecuted because of contravening safety and health regulations. Thank you very, very much. My name's Winston Audi. Winston is an occupational safety and health officer. I have 20+ experience in administering safety and health principles at the place of work. I've also worked as a prosecutor, prosecuting contraventions under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. And I've quite some experience in advising workplaces on what they need to do to ensure safety and health at work. And therefore, you're all welcome to this particular webinar. And I'll go straight to issues of non-conformities or contraventions against what has been provided in law. To help me through this presentation, I'm going to share a screen. I've got a presentation for you, which I will use for this particular, for this period of time. So let me share it with you. Richard, is it visible from your end?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You can move to slideshow.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very, very much. I wish to thank Ariane Van Staden for taking us through that initial presentation. The presentation was beautiful. I felt it flowing through my veins. Where I work, we have quite a number of people who have to work at height, and a number of them have certification from IWA, so IWH, and we're even looking forward to training more staff. We realize that that training indeed has changed our perspective and focus on how we need to work at height. We discovered that there are some things we were doing at height that was not standard and not recommended. And through the training that we did, we were able to correct. And right now we are working well and hope to train more people with VISCA and have people licensed to work comfortably at height, knowing that they are well trained and have got everything it takes to make them work safely. So we'll talk about penalties for contravening workplace safety and health legislation. And we are going to look at it in 3 bits. One, we look at a case study on OSH prosecution. We want to see these aspects of contraventions that are indeed have made people and organizations suffer. Is it true that people can be prosecuted for safety and health? Yes, it is true. And we're going to have a good example of what exactly happens.
349.
We shall also talk about a bit on work at height, and also I'll finish with OSH offenses and penalties as prescribed by Kenyan law. Let me take you to a company that breached work at height regulations. This is a company in the UK. And sometimes in October 2019, a routine inspection was undertaken at a construction site following a report of a fall from height. So somebody fell from height, and normally as is required by law, that particular situation would be investigated. And during the inspection, it was evident that there was poor management of work at height, and there were numerous other uncontrolled site safety issues that led to the problem. And of course, in this particular situation, people working unsafely on a flat roof. There was no edge protection as required by law. And it was reported that there had been an incident in the same flat roof 8 days earlier. So it means it's an unconformity that was recurring in this particular workplace. Now, the company was taken to court. And after being taken to court, they were found guilty of breaching Regulation 4.1 of the Work at Height Regulations 2005, and the other regulation on construction. And you realize that the fines were quite heavy, 48,000 British pounds, which is 7.2 million Kenya shillings, and also ordered to pay costs, which were going, that was actually above £500,000 Kenya shillings. So this is a good example that indeed people can get prosecuted because of breaching safety and health regulations. And then it was also noticed that the inspection confirmed that there was a widespread failure of safety management and systems for monitoring site safety. And therefore, of course, it demonstrated that this was an issue of failure of the safety systems of the organization, and they had to pay hefty fines for breaching work at height regulations. So how do we define work at height? Work at height can be defined as work in any place, including a place at above or below ground level, where a person could be injured if they fell from that place. So it's not necessary when you are on top of a tall structure, but if you're in a situation whereby by falling either into a depth or from height, you get injured, then we call that work at height. Also, access and egress to a place of work can also be called work at height. Some examples of work at height activities that we have: working on trestles. The pictures that you see, those are actually trestle scaffolds. And when you're working on trestles, they have to be secured properly because there are opportunities for falling. And we have them in various construction sites. Others are like working on a flat or slopey roof, or working on a ladder, or working at ground level adjacent to an excavation, or working on formwork within an excavation, or working near or adjacent to fragile materials. For example, when you're working on top of a roof that has got transparent or skylights, there are possibilities of falling through, and certain regulations have been put in place to keep you safe when you're working on fragile roofing. Working on a cell phone or electricity transmission line tower are also opportunities for work at height, and they have various risks. Erecting false work. False works are basically structures that are intended to support a building or a structure that is under construction, because it cannot be self-supporting until either it dries up, and then you are able to remove the false work. Erecting of formwork also presents an opportunity for working at height, because people have to climb onto the formwork and feed in concrete or do the casting, and therefore this is an opportunity for fall, which needs to be taken care of. So there are various opportunities for falling when you're working, and there are various regulations meant to protect us so that when you're working at height, then you work safely. Let's just look at the Kenyan situation. We have two principal laws in the country that mention work at height. We have the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 2007, and we have the Factories, Building Operations and Works of Engineering Construction Rules of 1984. As we are speaking, we don't have a specific regulation on work at height in Kenya, but this is something that the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services is working on to ensure that all hazards, and especially high-risk hazards, are dealt with through explicit regulations so that we don't leave any chance or error to cause incidences at the place of work. But still, this law and the regulation also address work at height. Let us briefly look at the Building Operations and Works of Engineering Construction Rules of 1984. Some work at height issues have been addressed by these rules. When you go through the rules, you realize certain aspects of work at height have been addressed. Rule 5 indicates that every contractor shall comply with the requirements of these rules to ensure health, safety, and welfare of all persons engaged in building operations of works of engineering construction. So given that the rule states that every contractor shall comply, then everything that is identified in the rules touching on height work must be complied with by the contractor. When we get to the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 2007, Part 13 of the Act also outlines the offenses and penalties. So offenses and penalties are actually addressed under Part 13 of the Act. We have got contraventions that do not have an express penalty. Normally, when you read through the law, it tells you that if, for example, you don't register your workplace, this would be the penalty, because failure to register the workplace under the law is an offense. And then that particular offense is stated, the fine or prison term outlined. But there are other sections of law that do not have an express penalty. And in those situations, we call them general penalties. So if you commit an offense where there is no express penalty, then you will be liable to a fine not exceeding 300,000 shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or to both. So this normally applies where no express penalty has been provided for. And in this case, you realize that most work at height contraventions, they would fall under this particular section of the law. But let me take you to section 11. Section 111 is very, very important for work at height incidents. Work at height incidents are very, very serious incidents. When you're falling from 20 meters or you're falling from 50 meters, like if you have to fall from a construction or an electricity transmission tower, or you have to fall from a cell phone tower, normally by the time you hit the ground, you'll fall at very, very serious force, more than 1,800 pounds of force, which of course will do a lot of damage to your body. Chances of surviving falls are minimal. And that is why our friend Staden had to take us through equipment that we can use to protect us from falling. In case you slip when you are up there, then you remain suspended and you can be rescued. So chances of survival are normally low if you have to hit the ground from 30 meters or from 20 meters or even from 10 meters. Those forces generated are huge. So would most likely have a fatality. So if a person is killed or dies or suffers any bodily injury in cases of a contravention or the owner or owners of the workplace have contravened the law, then the fines, one may be fined up to 1 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months. And the whole or any part of the fine may be applied for the benefit of the injured person or his family, or otherwise as the cabinet secretary may determine. We are talking about a single count. So imagine you have multiple injuries in a workplace, then you may end up paying million shillings in terms of fines. So other sections of our populace also feel that our fines are not very punitive. We need to have higher fines to ensure that people don't contravene safety and health legislations. But you also realize that if you have to undergo such fines and imprisonments, it's definitely detrimental to your business. Well, the law also says that the fines and imprisonment that I've talked about in case of fatality or serious injury, the law still says that in case of injury to health, the occupier or owner shall not be liable to a penalty under this section unless the injury was caused directly by the contravention. For example, you are working in a place whereby there is a leak or poison gas, for example, and it can be linked that you actually died because of that poison gas. It affected your health, then of course this particular section of the law applies. But the law also indicates that if, for example, you are taken to court under a charge in which somebody got injured, and in this particular charge it was dismissed, then any death or injury that occurred as a result of that then may not be considered under this section of the law. So my message to all of us here is we need to take safety as seriously, if not more seriously than anything else that you do. So safety should be in the core of everything that you do in your farms, in your businesses, in your workplaces, so that we are able to avoid prosecution. But also let us remember that in as much as the owner of a business can be prosecuted, we have this particular worker who will have lost his life or who has lost a body part, which can never be recovered. No amount of fines would be able to restore somebody who has been seriously injured or life that has been lost. So let us join hands together, work very, very hard to ensure that if we have to work at height, then all the principles that have been outlined to ensure we are safe actually taken seriously. Share this information with your managers, share this information with the owners of your companies, and let them basically see that indeed we need to invest in safe systems of work, and we need to invest in proper protection systems so that our workers are safe in their day-to-day work. And therefore, I believe there's something that you've got out of this presentation. If you have any questions on this particular presentation, then we will be able to take them after the final presentation. Others, thank you very, very much for listening. We look forward to having you having safe workplaces. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you so much, Winston. That was well articulated, and I want to believe that all the participants have been able to take something home regarding non-conformity and the penalties that come with that. Other than the penalties, life is paramount, and there's no amount of money that can surely pay an individual to compensate that person fully. So let's take safety matters very seriously, and I believe that is going to go a long way to enhance safety at all places of work. I believe the session has shorter time, but within this time, we need to pick up something so that by the end of the day, we are all keeping safe to ourselves and even to our loved ones and even to the team we work with. And so on this particular note, I want to move now to the last topic, and we are talking about projects. We are talking about contractors. And when we talk about projects and contractors, nothing can escape safety-related requirements. And most of the projects, based on the inquiries and based on the information we've been able to gather and data, most of them end up being discontinued or run into trouble because of non-conformity and because of not understanding the safety requirements with these particular projects. And so this helps us to move forward by listening to one of the contractors that you will be able to know that if you get to do the correct thing, then you are able to have your contract done properly and within the best required term. And by the end of the day, you provide quality work. And so for us to understand enhancing contractors' understanding of health and safety requirements, we need to listen to one of the best partners we have in the industries. and this is Safaricom PLC. And on this note, allow me to bring in Flavian Mutunga, who is one of the managers within the Health and Safety Wellness Department of Safaricom PLC. He's going to speak about enhancing contractors' understanding of health and safety requirements for proper delivery and quality delivery of projects. Flavian?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Great. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I was also to be joined by Karen. I don't know if Karen is present. Karen, you can go on. So I think Karen is not joined, but as she joins, allow me to say a few things. One is that I will start from where Ryan and what was being talked just 2 minutes ago, that there are legal implications when you don't comply to health and safety. But allow me to say this. Nelson Mandela once said that if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. Today, I believe we are now talking our language. What is it that we see when we go to the projects? What is it that we see when we go to these workplaces? So I will be very brief, and to enhance the contractor compliance, it's just not about a tick in the box. The speakers who has just had their talk have really reiterated on the need of the use of the correct PPEs, on the need of developing a safety management systems. But now,
Flavian, your video is off. Your video is off.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So I was saying now it's about bringing now that safety home, bringing the safety home, letting the people, letting the workers who interact with this particular risk on a day-to-day basis really understand and embrace safety. So it's all about really having the nice documentation, having a very nice permit to work system, but now it's about driving this culture. And if you work with any contractor, if you are a contractor, if you intend to be a contractor, it's not just about listing the key compliance. Yeah, you can just go direct to the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2007 and develop your own legal register. But then there is the what aspect. So what about that legal register? It's about now going an extra mile to really now bring safety home. And that's the work of the health and safety system. So number one, as I said, I'll be very brief. To ensure that you are really compliant, number one is you need to drive a safety culture. You develop a safety culture, and I call it a regime and a rhythm. So if there's no regime and there's no rhythm, then that safety management system is really dead. What defines health and safety culture? These are the rituals, these are the language, and these are the stories that people tell. Rituals, I will just go straight. I will explain the ritual. Rituals are the things that you choose as a health and safety management person to be doing on a daily basis, to be doing on a weekly basis, to be doing on a monthly basis. These are the things like the inspections. How often do you do the inspection of your helmets? How often do you train your employees on the use of the PPEs? How often do you run toolbox talks? So these are what I call the ritual. The language is what you choose. Where do you place safety in your own organization? Do you say health and safety comes first, or health and safety for everyone? What is it that you stand for as an organization? And then two, once now you've created the culture, you now need to develop your safe systems of work. We are very good in it. These are the job safety analysis, hazard analysis. These are permits to work. These are the inspections. But you need now to train the people on how to go about. Remember, as a health and safety person, you are just there as the representative of your system. But the people who need to live, who need to drive, are the guys who are interacting with the hazard, are the guys who are supervising this hazard, which are the project managers. So you need a very good training matrix, and the training matrix just goes around a need analysis. You look at the work that you are doing, and allow me to give you an example of a construction site. You go to a construction site. What is it that you are looking for? These are the guys where you find the level of education is a O level, but now you want the safety guidelines to be followed. You have to talk to them in the language they understand. Yeah, you have to talk to them the language they understand. You have to come down to them so that they embrace safety from their hearts. So in terms of when you are developing your induction processes, you don't make it a PowerPoint thing, but you make it so interactive that when these guys are working on a day-to-day basis, they're able to talk their language, they're able to point out these particular risks. And then after that, it's where you develop now what I call a monitoring and evaluation matrix. What is it that you are going to be tracking, and how often? Remember, if you are driving health and safety and you are not tracking, there are what we call the leading indicators and the lagging indicators. If you are not tracking them, then the system isn't working, because you're just moving in the wilderness. You don't know what to check. And this, you develop what we call a dashboard. Dashboards, just like the car. When you are driving your car, you are looking at your dashboard. In case of the engine overheat, you're going to see the indicators. So same case applies to this health and safety management system. Develop a dashboard, develop a tracker that will tell you, yes, you are moving on the right direction. And guys, allow me to point this. Frank Bird, who is one of the leading guys in accident investigation, once said that for every fatal accident that you see up there, it will represent at least 10,000 cases of an unsafe condition and near misses. So when you see these near misses are happening, kindly investigate them so that you can unveil the behaviors behind it. I'll also talk about engagements. Guys, you cannot be the best in the world. So always benchmark with your peers. If you are in a construction industry, as you are a health and safety manager, ask someone who is in the manufacturing, ask them, benchmark with them. How do you go about driving the behavioral safety? How do you go about permit to work system? They are able to, you share the ideas. You cannot be a hill. So we have to really engage one another. Something very critical is when an accident happens, and this now I'm going to the last one, which is on behavioral aspects of driving the health and safety. When an accident happens, when you investigate this accident, you are going to find that, yes, the health and safety manager had a permit to work. The permit had been issued. There was a toolbox talk. There was PPE. There was, everything was provided. But now you ask yourself, then why did the employee not follow this? So we say the behavioral aspect is very, very key in the accident causation. And that's why for you to drive safety, I talked about the culture, I talked about the rhythm, I've talked about the systems of work, but critical, there has to be a behavioral change program. And this is where there is the involvement of the top management and the employees who are the shop floor guys, who are now the cash flows. If there's no that clear link between the CEO, between the supervisor, between the worker, then it will be very difficult for you as a health and safety manager to develop and have a working health and safety program. But most of the cases that you find the supervisors are not aware or they ignore the programs. So if that's the case, then you need to drive key performance objective for each cadre of people. So I will share with you one of my accident that I investigated in one of the countries called Cambodia. So this was a fall from height. This guy, they were doing works on top of a roof, and this was asbestos. I think we all know and understand asbestos is the fragile roof. So when they were removing this asbestos, the supervisor was up there, and he was with 3 of the workers. So he supervised them, and he made mandatory, because it was a lunch hour, that they went down when they had put on their harnesses and everything. They were safe. But the supervisor decided that he can remove his harnesses and leave it on top of the roof. Remember, just imagine when he made his first step, he just fell to the ground because it was not anchored. He just fell, and that was the end. The guy died. I will also say another one, because I've been one of my roles in my previous job was doing investigations, because I'm a full member of the Institute of Industrial Accident Investigators UK. An accident also when I was investigating, leading the investigation in Saudi Arabia. The guy was really driving, and he decided he cannot drive at speeds below 130. And when we asked him why, the response that he gave me was, I cannot be controlled by a traffic police or traffic lights on a road that is named after my grandfather. So that tells you the behavior, the aspect of how people perceive safety is really, really critical. So if you want to make a good health and safety system where you achieve all the requirements, I would say you do one, ensure that you have the legal register that was being asked, so that you comply to all aspects of health and safety. That's number one. And audit yourself against the legal register. Number two, develop an inspection regime of your own system and a rhythm. This I talked about: toolbox talks, monthly audits, positive talks, training matrix for all different personnel. Then drive the culture, develop the language, develop the rituals, and then the positive talks. In terms of safety systems of work, we talked about the risk assessment, JSS, and permit to work. So when you do that, now have a communication plan in terms of behavioral change. If that one happens, trust me, when you refer yourself from the culture matrix, you will move from the emerging to actually performing or even top performing. Thank you. Thank you. I can take any question.
Wow. Thank you so much, Flavian, from Safaricom PLC, the Safety and Health Wellness Department. And we would have been so glad also to listen to Karen. We are looking forward to come up with another webinar that will also give Karen more space and time so that she can also be able to speak to us in matter safety. She's so rich in this particular field. Please just let her know that we really wanted her to speak in this particular one, but we are still going to have another one in the coming month of May, and we'll be glad to have her on board so that we can also tap from her rich experience and knowledge of matters regarding safety. For my take home is safety culture from Flavian. Make sure that you have the monitoring and evaluation indicators, and then at the same time, you do benchmarking so that you understand that you're not running your own race. See what the others are doing and have behavioral aspects that are good for the organization and even for the company. I want to thank all the speakers of today, starting with Rian van Staden all the way from South Africa, from Group 583, very rich. Rian has a lot of information regarding work at height, and as we continue engaging, we shall be looking at his schedule. I really pleaded with him for him to create this time. I also pleaded with Flavian to create time, plus Karen from Safaricom, and then I also pleaded so much to have Winston create some time so that we can tap from this rich experience and knowledge that is within the safety spectrum. And so I want to believe with the theme of the week that we've been carrying over Safety Week, the World Safety Week 2021, anticipate, prepare, respond to crisis, invest now in resilient occupational safety and healthy system. With all this information that we've been able to tap from these rich guest speakers, I want to believe that all the participants are going to implement and have some good take home as we go forward for a safe working environment to yourself, to the people you lead, to the people you work with, and even to your own family. Because by the end of the day, safety starts with me and it starts with you. Please remember that we have a link shared on our chat note for you to register so that we get your details to enable us share with you this particular presentation. We want also to appreciate various players from various industries who participated in this. I know we have various people from the telecom industry, from the utility industry, from the construction, from the media, and all alike. I can see my friends from Kenya Wildlife Services are on board. Asanteni sana. And on this particular note, we want to take a few questions because we still have a few minutes. If you have a question directed to Flavian Mutunga, please let us know. If you have a question directed to Rian van Staden, and if you have a question directed to Winston regarding non-conformity, we'll take maximum 4 questions. And then the rest of the questions that you have been able to put on the chat, we shall make sure that all of them we will provide answers to those particular people through the email address we will have provided. So please, let's have the first question. Monica?
Yes.
And let us know whom it's directed to, whether it is for Rian or it's for Flavian or it's for Winston.
The questions were posted openly, not to anyone specific. And the first one was, how often should a tower mast be inspected? Can you share the standards required on quality of mast in towers? That is from Wawire.
Wawire.
Yes.
Okay, Rian, are you there to be able to guide us through this? Rian?
Richard, yes. The question with regards to how often the mast needs to be inspected, I cannot really answer on that because it does not form part of the equipment as per se. I think what they should do is that they should go to the owner of the mast, and they need to ask, or then ask what is the maintenance procedures on those masts. Plus, they must ask the owner of that piece of equipment or that structure to provide them with an inspection criteria. In South Africa, I know that with regards to insurance, the insurers will ask for inspections every 5 years, I think. But as soon as there's been a change on that structure, obviously then there's a new inspection that needs to be done. But I cannot, unfortunately, give you a guideline on that, except that they need to go to the owner.
Okay, Rian, we lost you. Okay, we lost Rian, but I know Flavian has a rich knowledge and information regarding towers and regarding inspection. And I would want to ask Flavian to delve into this, at least with the input based on his experience and knowledge. Flavian?
Thank you, Richard. And I'll just say what Rian was saying. There's no specific standard that states how often this tower need to be inspected. However, looking at the components that make the tower, and then looking at the OSHA, there is a guideline on how often this needs to be inspected. So you just need to refer to your OSHA 2007 in terms of the lifting. There is a lifeline in the towers. There is a ladder. So those components will determine how often they need to be inspected. We also are looking at the harnesses that you are using. Remember, these are lifting equipment. I think should be section 65 of the Act. So yes, we need to refer to that. 6 months, you inspect. You have a government-approved person checking on your harnesses, checking on your lifeline. So we just refer to the manufacturer's manual, and we refer to the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2007 guidelines under the approved persons. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Flavian, for that reference. And I want to encourage any HSC manager who is on board just to refer to those acts, and they'll get those guidelines. And more information we shall also be able to provide it to you from our internal inspection team that we normally work with from DOSH. They have all this information. We'll pick some of this and we'll also be able to share with you. Thank you. Next question.
I can see Bernard's hand is up. So Bernard, you can unmute yourself and just ask the question.
Okay. My question is, are there categories of people which are allowed not to work on nights? Maybe high blood pressure people, or challenges of weight? That's my question.
Yes, Bernard, there are. And one of the key requirements of you to access height is to have a valid medical certificate. This has to be done by a designated health practitioner, not any other doctor. Please note that. It has to be done by a DHP, designated health practitioner. If you check from the OSH website, you're able to see a list of all the doctors who have been authorized to carry out occupational medical examinations. Those are the guys who qualify anyone who works at height. So in terms of the age, in terms of other prevailing medical conditions, yes, the impact really on the person who is working.
Thank you, Flavian, for that information. And just to add on what Flavian has given, whenever you come for any work at height training, one of the requirements we always ask for is a medical certificate. The reason for that medical certificate is that the doctors should tell us if you are fit to go up the mast and come down. And so if you look at most of these requirements, you'll realize that medical certificates are supposed to be done on a yearly basis, being that after 1 year, there are several body changes and a lot could have happened with you. Please do not forge that medical report for the sake of you maintaining your job. because the doctor knows why they have indicated that you are not fit to work at height. If you tend to switch and rub that so that it suits you to maintain the job, if any complications come out of that, then you bear full responsibilities based on the penalties and some non-conformities that I had earlier on indicated, because it's obvious that the doctor will give the true report and yours that is fake will come out clear. So please make sure that you work with the correct medical doctor's report that is genuine and must be designated as it has been outlined by Flavian. Thank you so much, Flavian, on that. The third question.
Victor Aluga, your hand is up. Just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Victor Aluga. I'm from Farside. I have a question that I wanted to ask the moderators for today. I was asking, how do we ensure as safety practitioners in our various organizations that a high behavioral safety standard and culture is maintained among our employees and contractors in a way which may not seem offensive to them, or in a way which will be able to drive the safety culture to them in a way that is easily understood by everyone in the organization. That was my question, first question. And I also had another question. I was asking, I think I'm asking Mr. Winston Audi. I was asking about the penalties and fines. I was asking that about the penalties for contravening maybe some workplace safety rules. Do these fines and penalties, are they being reviewed yearly by the boards mandated to do so, or how do they apply the penalties and if one contravenes the OSHA offenses, how are the penalties reviewed, or how do they come up with, let's say, a figure for a fine or something? Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor from Fireside. We are humbled. I think Flavian will take the first question because he really made it clear, and even in his presentation, it was very clear. But I'll still ask him to respond to that, and then Audi will respond to your question for penalties, and then we'll take the last question. Flavian.
Thank you. Thank you. Allow me to respond so that I can quickly join another meeting. From Fireside, one of the ways you can engage you can make the culture sync to your employees is number one, through the engagements. And these are from the top management, from yourself as a health and safety manager, and from everyone from the business point of view. When they engage these workers who are on the ground and they see the focus on safety, everyone is focusing on safety, trust me, the culture will start thinking. Now, number two is training and assurances. When you take these guys, and I said you take them through the language they understand. So you train them, talk to their language. But as a health and safety person, the only place where we fail is, and I will be very clear and open, and I stand to be challenged, is most of us in health and safety, the only tool that we have is a hammer. And if you move around with a hammer, then any problem that you see will be a nail that you want to also hammer. So you need to remove the police in us, health and safety managers, and put the pastor in us. What do I mean? You need to have a program on a positive engagement where when you find a guy has violated, not all violation will warrant maybe a dismissal, a warning letter, but some will just warrant a talk to that guy. You call this guy, you have a chat with him, and you're able to understand what are the behaviors behind, what is it behind what you are seeing, yeah? So that positive engagement is very critical. And then as a health and safety person, you need to develop a communication plan. What is it? It's about knowing what to communicate, by who will be the audience, and when. So if you have that one, and you engage your employees, from a positive point of view, not all the time using the hammer. I can assure you, the guys will start reaching out to you, telling you these unsafe conditions, and also unveiling controls that you as the other safety manager, you may not be even aware, but when you engage them, they are going to be to open up. I think the essence is opening up and owning up the health and safety.
Thank you, Flavian. Before you go, Flavian, I know your time is up. Please give us a parting shot and please pass our regards to Karen and just ask her that the next session we are organizing, we let her know well in advance so that she can also diarize in her schedule, and then she'll be available to speak to us. Your parting shot, Flavian.
Thank you, Richard. Mine is, when you see that fatal accident statistics out there, it represents a heart that was once beating and a representation of very many broken hearts. So when also that fatal accident happens, a mother has to bury a son. A child has to go without a dad or mom, and a spouse will have to bury the other. So my call today, all the contractors, all the partners who are joined today, let us put up a spirit of zero harm. Yes, it is possible, and let's commit that no one should die while trying to earn a living. Thank you.
No one should die while trying to earn a living. Thank you so much, Flavian. We'll get in touch. Audi, please respond to the second question of Victor.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much, Victor, for asking that question. You asked a question on how often do we review law?
Yes.
How often do we review the fines, the penalties? We do realize that law, unmute? Can you mute mic kindly?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, so normally for people to be able to amend certain sections of the law, then there must be an apparent need of the same. So normally it takes time before parts of the law are actually amended. And this has to do with the necessity. So we don't have a time frame for either reviewing or increasing the fines or reducing the fines as stipulated in law, but this depends on the need. If by time it is realized or it's noticed that our fines are not working because they're not punitive enough, then stakeholders may need to be engaged because this is not the decision of either the enforcer, but it is something that is tripartite, that would involve the workers, that would involve government in terms of those enforcing the law, and it also involves the employers who also have to face these fines. So it actually comes because of a need. As we are speaking, the Occupational Safety and Health Act is also in the middle of review. We have a bill in place, and certain sections of the law definitely have been changed in the bill. And I believe there could be issues to touch on penalties that have been identified in the new bill. I can share with you the new bill that is in place. So what necessitates change is basically the current situation on the ground, and if it's been agreed by all parties, then a change would be effected, but we've got no clear time frame. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Audi, on elaborating on that, and I believe that the participants will also take time and get to look for this information from the DOSH website so that they are able also to equip themselves. Final question, Monica.
Final question, we can have it from Bernard Silla.
Okay, thank you. My question goes like this: does the law govern a special allowance for the riggers or people working on towers? Special allowance, bear in mind that they are exposed to the risks. Thank you.
Audi.
Thank you, Sina, for that particular question. Indeed, people who work at height, definitely they are exposed to risks, which of course may not be there for other professions. But again, it is also important that mitigation measures are put in place to ensure that this particular worker can work within the confines of this risk, or reduce the probability of him getting hurt as he carries out his work. So the law does not provide for an allowance. What the law says is that we need to make the workplace safe. We need to identify or come up with safe systems of work. We need to carry out risk assessments, identify the hazard, rate the risk, and come up with the suitable controls. So the law talks about controlling the hazard so that the person or the worker is not adversely affected, but it does not say that we pay you something because of the risk that you are exposed to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Audi, for that. I think based on time, and I understand that quite a number of people had to ask for permission so that they're able to attend this. We would want to take two comments, not questions now, based on this particular webinar on this platform where we are talking about World Safety Week. We just want to have two comments based on this webinar. What do you think is your take home? And then from there, we'll be winding up, then we release you. Two comments, compliments.
Can I?
Yes,
Hello?
go ahead, Mneria.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richard Odwar. This is a very good initiative. And for me, I am a student, I'm a master's student doing communication system. And I aspire to enter into the telecommunication company. So I will say, because we are actually going to work with this staff, this is a very good initiative that you are moving it outside there. And I will say one thing, just keep on teaching us and educating us. Thank you so much. I had a question to ask Flavian Mutunga, but he left earlier. So maybe when you organize the next meeting, I will ask my question. Thank you so much.
Mneria, please go ahead and put your question on the chat, or you can email us directly. We'll forward it to Flavian. All the questions, we'll analyze them and know which particular speaker they are suited to. With all the feedback, we shall also be able to share with you. Thank you, Mneria.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir.
Karibu. Next compliment.
Hello.
Hello.
Victor.
Yes, Victor.
I have a compliment to the people who contravened this, who made this meeting possible. I just want to say thank you very much. We have been able to learn a lot about working at height, about projects and contractors, how they should behave. I've also been able to learn how penalties and for contravening some of the workplace safety are done. And I've also learned that safety is a very important thing, because at the end of the day, your family expects you to return back at home safely the way you left. So I want to say thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you very much to Visca. And I'm very happy, and I've been able to learn a lot, and it has been a very educative Zoom webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor. Pass our regards to Lillian and the entire Fireside team, and tell them we are looking forward to partner very soon. We are humbled by those compliments.
Thank you. I'll pass my regards to Fireside. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I put two people on board? They've been able to partner with us, and they've been able to send quite a number of their team so that they'll be able to give their compliments. Then we'll wind up. Lumiti from Kamusat. Lumiti, please, from Kamusat. And then we'll have Francis from Chaticom. Lumiti.
Thank you very much, Richard, for this session. For me, I really appreciate it. I think this session has come at a very right time when, and the timing itself is very important, because the main reason in our ecosystem is for the people to know why we need them to do some things. The session was well organized in terms of the work at height, the inspection of harnesses, and the legal aspect in occupational health and safety, of which I find it to be very important for the people working in this ecosystem. Thank you very much, Richard, and we look forward to more sessions like this and for more partnership with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lumiti. We are humbled. Say hi to the entire CAMSAT team. Francis from Chaticom. Francis Chaticom, are you still there or you've gone? Hello. Yes, Francis is there.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, but you're faint, some volume.
Am I okay now?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to participate in this session. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm happy to participate in this session of working at HIT. And I can say I've been able to learn a lot. And I can thank you because you have been educating us and giving us all the skills that we need so that we can continue working safely. And we know our safety is important, not only to the company that we work for, but also to our family, because at the end of the day, they need us. They know that we have gone to work to get money, but without our lives being safe, we cannot be able to work tomorrow. So that's why I'm saying the training has been good to us. And thank you to FISCA and the participants in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francis. We are humbled by that.
Yeah.
Pass our regards to the rest. Because we have so many companies represented, we may not be able to mention all of you. Thank you from Standard Group. Thank you from KWS. Thank you from Benz Electricals all the way from Mombasa. There are so many companies represented here. We are all the way people from Masaba Services. You're talking about Adrian, Alan Dick, Broadcom. There are so many. We cannot mention all of you. Please go to our chat and just leave a comment. We shall share these videos through your email address. I hope you've given us the correct email address on the chat link that we provided. Also to inform you, Monday 3rd to 5th, with all COVID protocols observed, we shall be conducting a work at height training certified IWH. Please get in touch if your license has expired or is about to expire, or you've never trained and you want to get one. Get in touch with me on the side because we are only left with today, tomorrow to close everything. But on Monday, I have a team that their licenses need to be updated as soon as yesterday. So please get in touch. Thank you so much. I take you back to Monica to finalize. Asanteni sana. The next webinar will get to communicate to you the winners, the 5 winners of the fall protection plan, worthy 37,500. We shall communicate to you, but one of the criteria we shall be using is to follow the chat link and identify the company with the highest representation. Will definitely be given an opportunity to provide one person. We shall also be looking at the type of questions that have been asked. We shall be very biased so that we are able to distribute this. But it comes with a condition. For you to be able to undertake this fall protection plan training, you must have done the standard of fall protection with the rescue. That is standard US 22995. You must have done a fall protection training with the rescue, because it will not make sense for you to train on fall protection plan when you have not done the other standard. So this is one of the conditions given by IWH, because this certificate will be an Institute for Work at Height certificate. So 5 participants stand a chance to win this, and we shall communicate to this to all of you, those who will be the winners. Monica?
Okay, so I'll just say thank you to all our panelists for that very educative session that we've just had. Thank you everyone also for taking time to join this webinar. Thank you for the comments, the positive feedback. Yes?
Monica?
Yes?
Maybe I forgot, and this will be unfair. Before you wind up, let's have the parting shot from Audi, and then the parting shot from Rian. Then now you take it up from there. Sorry for that interruption. If Audi is there, parting shot.
Thank you very, very much. My parting shot will be a very short one. If you cannot do it safely, then better not do it. Thank you so much.
Wow. If you cannot do it safely, then don't. Rian, parting shot.
Richard, once again, just thank you very much. It was a very informative session. I've also learned a lot from my side in terms of your local legislation and then your local rules and regulations. So yeah, thank you very much. From my side as well, it's if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That is the first one. And if you are not qualified to work at height, don't take that chance. So it is basically hand in hand. So yes, if you can't do it safely, don't do it. Don't try it. An accident happens extremely fast. Within our training, you will realize how fast an accident can happen, and then you will realize for the first time maybe how dangerous your occupation is. So from my side, thank you very much, and I bid you guys a good day.
Thank you, Rian. Thank you. Okay, Monica.
Thank you everyone for taking time to join the webinar. Kindly just make sure you have provided your email address. I'm going to be sharing the recording and the training notes as well. And I won't take much of your time, so just to wish you a lovely day, stay safe, and I will be also communicating the next upcoming webinars for those who will be interested. Have a good day and bye-bye.
Bye-bye from Richard, your Work at Height safety trainer in Kenya, Institute for Work at Height. God bless. Stay safe. Keep safe to yourself and to your loved ones. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
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 Goodbye.
Hello. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye, everyone, and thanks for the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.